There we go. See, now I'm doing it. Good luck with this, Andy.
Now I have to figure it out.
Good luck.
I don't know if you making it hard for me to edit is gonna make it hard for me to like actually record. So now I'm just in my head thinking you're gonna interrupt me if I start our intro. I wanted to do something fun for our Halloween special intro, but I guess I'm just gonna do the only problem with Santino and Andy is this podcast.
Wah! Woo!
Live and direct from a cemetery. It is our Halloween
Woo!
special. Is I, Andy Matzke, and that is Santino Vitale. We are two Ohio filmmakers. Two,
Woo-hoo!
and this week, your favorite movie podcast is back, and we have a treat, guys. We have an 80s horror spectacular.
What?
This is something special. We are doing a double feature for our Halloween special. We are not talking about one movie. We're not talking about one movie in a short. We're not talking about three movies. We're not talking about four movies in a short. We're talking about two movies this week on The Only Problem.
Da, da, da. Da, 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 da,
This,
da.
this was Santino's idea, and this was Santino's recommendation. He made me watch two 80s classics. I keep saying 80s, but I'm going to be honest, not 100% sure. Evil Dead 2 is an 80s movie, right?
1987, yeah.
Okay.
And Nightmare on Elm Street is earlier 80s. I think it's
Yeah.
like 84 or something.
So we are talking about spoilers. We're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street, A Nightmare on Elm Street, my bad, and Evil Dead 2, which has a tagline,
Dead
but
by Dawn.
yeah, Dead by Dawn, but that's like nowhere in the title of the movie, nor is it like the IMDb title anymore. It's just on the posters. So Dead by Dawn. Talking about both these films this week. It's it's the end of the Halloween season, and so we wanted to go out with a bang. Even though we're going to be talking about monster movies for the foreseeable future, we'll see. We need to get that situated, but that's not the important part of the episode. What you're here for is you're here to hear us, well, hear me talk about these movies because I had never seen either of these movies before. Well, that's actually not true. I had seen part of Evil Dead 2, and we'll get to that when we talk about it. I assume we'll watch them or we'll talk about them in the order I watched them in, which is A Nightmare on Elm Street and Evil Dead 2. I watched them both last night. I improvised a setup in my bedroom because my dad wanted to watch the World Series. And so I had to bring a TV up into my room, which my room's not huge. And I sat on the floor because I didn't want to be looking down on the TV. So I sat on a pillow and I felt like a kid. And I was sitting way too close to the TV. And like the first quarter of Nightmare on Elm Street, I would like fiddle with the TV settings to make it look right. But once that was locked in, it was a great viewing experience. Somehow didn't bother my mom while she was trying to sleep, even though I did not have it at like a quiet volume at all. And I asked her
Wow.
today, and I was like, "Did that bother you?" And she's like, "No." So
Wow, she's
power of a white noise machine, I guess.
yeah, she's out like a light. She's
I
down.
haven't let you talk yet. That's Santino Vitale,
Ba, ba, ba,
visual
ba, 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 ba.
effects, and I guess you were making all
I
those
was making a lot
noises.
of noise, yeah. I'm sound
But
effects
yeah,
for tonight.
Santino, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty great.
Something I wanted to say
Hmm.
is if you're a fan of this show, something or some
If I'm a
things.
fan of the show,
Yeah, no, well, the
tell me
listener
what
at
I
home.
gotta do, boss.
Here's what I want to tell you, fan of the show. Certain projects you and I have worked on that have been in the can for a while are now out and available
They're
in the
out of the
world
can.
again. I was gonna look up where exactly, but On the Trail of Hauntings and Paranormal Unexplained are both out in the world these days. And so if you
Hauntings is on Prime. I think you have to pay per episode. I didn't know Unexplained was out.
I've heard on a video or these at least will be out very soon. So maybe well, this comes out tomorrow. Now, by the time you're listening to this in the future around
Hmm.
Halloween, they might both be out. And I think Unexplained is out. I was going to look up exactly where and I forgot. So my fault, guys. But those are two projects that Santino and I worked on while we were documentary filmmakers during that era of our lives. Santino actually worked on both of those, and I was just in a handful. But I like to, when I talk about it, pretend like I really contributed something besides just being there. So if you want
I
to
mean,
see,
you were the executive producer, I think, right? You were making all the calls.
yeah,
You were
I did a lot
demanding
of
coffee.
budgets. I did a lot of budgets
Yeah.
and a lot of like
You would
unimportant
like
work.
paintbrush people when they'd get something wrong. You'd be like, like smack them
Yeah,
around, be like, do this right.
I did shove that guy down the steps.
And that was a spiral staircase. So he really
That
had,
was pretty cool. It was pretty
yeah,
cool. And that was just for Paranormal Unexplained.
yeah.
That's the crazy part.
That was just for standing under the wrong
Which
light.
Paranormal Unexplained was a like a reaction style show that
Hmm.
that was on the STM YouTube for a long time and where people would react to videos containing paranormal phenomenon. Hope
Yep.
you enjoy me coming up with synopsis on the
Yeah.
fly. And then On the Trail of Hauntings is an investigative show into ghosts. I don't know if you could hear my sound effects, but
Yeah, I can hear it.
that's those are out there, and I think that's cool. I want to rewatch some Unexplained because that was just fun. There's some funny moments. There's probably bits we still reference that started on that show. So those
Yeah,
shows are
the
with
what song is this bit is still one that,
yeah,
eh, what song
yeah.
is that?
It's Michael Jackson.
Yeah, it's Michael Jackson.
So we are talking about A Nightmare on Elm Street, which is a classic Halloween flick that I am looking up the IMDb for as we speak. 1984's
Yep.
A Nightmare on Elm Street. Wow, the bio's really long for this one, and it won't let me click read more. So, oh, here we are. Teenage Nancy Thompson must uncover the dark truth concealed by her parents after she and her friends become targets of the spirit of a serial killer with a bladed glove in their dreams in which if they die it kills them in real life. That's awful.
Yeah, that's
That
a
was
really poorly written synopsis.
that was I'm really sorry. I'm sorry
It's
guys, but that's what I
about a
got.
guy who kills you in your dreams. That's
It's
really
a
all they need to know.
yeah.
And if no one knows that, then I don't know what rock they've been living under. Because I mean, at least you knew what it was about. You've never
I
seen
don't
the
even
movie.
really, I don't even know if I knew all that. I'm
Really?
gonna be honest. I don't think I even knew that.
Whoa! So this is the virgin vo like the straight, no filter, no idea, nothing.
Why'd you say Virgin and not Voyage? Why'd you cut
I was
off
trying to think
Voyage?
of voyage. I couldn't remember what it was called, and I was like, it's the maiden voyage. It's not the virgin voyage. It's Virgin
You're
Mobile.
right. It's
I
a
don't
maiden.
know. It's you get what I'm trying to say. You
I do
had
now. I
sleepy,
kind of didn't for a second.
bright eyes on this one.
Yes, I did not know a lot going into this movie.
I love this.
I mean, I knew Freddy Krueger was from this movie,
Hmm.
and that's about all I
So
knew.
you didn't know that he killed people in their dreams. You didn't know
Maybe.
like the okay, interesting.
I think I knew that there was some sort of dream angle, but I
But yeah,
really didn't
Nightmare on
know
Elm
much.
Street.
Yeah.
Right. I think this has something
There's
to do with dreams. I don't know.
I think this has something to do with sleeping. I don't know. It's just
Doesn't
a
have anything to do
hunch.
with the stock market, probably, but yeah.
But I really didn't know a whole lot going in. And I had an enjoyable time watching this movie because I it really goes. If you have well, spoiler warning, of course. We talk about everything with these movies, guys. You know that by now. Uh it goes from like, hey, it's the 80s to
Hmm.
like what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
And
Really fast.
I was all there for it. I think I might have written it. No, I wrote down more detailed stuff with Evil Dead 2. But
Okay, so I don't want to like interrupt your flow, but I do want to get like a structure here because I'm very curious, and I'm doing weird little things with my hands that the viewers
if
can't
only the
see.
people at
If
home
only
could
they could
see.
see. If only they could see
I
what's
was
happening.
doing this today
Oh,
and
the
I
bird
caught myself.
hands.
I was
You were
caught
doing
myself
bird
doing bird
hands.
hands.
See, you
I
gotta
was
watch
mad.
out. You're spending too much time in the wrong crowd, Andy. Um, so okay, walk me through it. You're sitting on a pillow. You're in your room. It's
Right
like
there.
you're right there. It's like you're 8 years old again, watching Godzilla late at night, right? You've got the TV kind of hooked up in a weird way. You're streaming this from your laptop?
Yeah.
Okay. And
Connected to an
so,
HDMI cord, connected to a dongle because Apple hates everybody. So,
wow.
you have to go through hoops. Shots fired. I love you, Apple.
So you press play and the movie comes on. And actually, you can take it from here because I watched Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Fetus, last night, and not the original Nightmare on Elm Street. So it's been about a year since I've seen the original Nightmare on Elm Street. So the beginning isn't the most clear to me. So go ahead and lay that out for me. And what
It's
your paint me a word picture, Andy, with use your vowels and your syllables and your sentences. Bring us and the viewers along for a ride. I'm trying to think of as many different ways to phrase this so that I can keep talking and so that I never let you get to what I'm asking you to do. Go ahead.
a dark screen, the most 80s New Line Cinema logo you've ever seen. In fact, you've never seen it before. Then there's like a this the sound effects kick in, and it's like a picture within a picture, which is really interesting. Very
Hmm.
80s, like not even like almost the most dated part of the movie. 80 like 80s picture in picture of a man getting his stuff together. He's in a boiler room. It's real scary. There's 80s music already.
Hmm.
Ooh. And it's you see his hands, and that's the dream. It's the
Right.
first dream. It's Tina's dream. And you're introduced to the idea that there's something, well, and you're not introduced to the fact it's a dream right away.
Right.
It kind of looks real. And then this lady, Tina, gets
Hmm.
attacked by a creature. Well, I don't know why I said that. Old habits die hard. By this guy. Do you even
Hmm.
see him at this point? I don't know.
They don't really
I
fully
watched
show
more
him, I don't think.
movie. I watched more movie yesterday than I typically watch in like 2 weeks.
Right.
So I'm gonna need to keep things kind of clear in my head. But you get introduced to like what appears to be our main character, which is
Hmm.
this Tina girl in a nightmare situation, and she wakes up. And then there's a shot early on in this movie that I want to make sure I talk about, which is the jump rope.
Hmm.
And then it tracks, there's these kids playing jump rope, and it tracks to the right. So the camera's just moving to the right, kind of laterally. It's not panning, it's the camera itself is dollying over. And it does that transitioning into the car with the kids in it who are introduced to like our gang of misfits, which includes one Johnny Depp, and we can talk
In
about
his
him.
first film
Yeah,
role.
which is that's pretty cool.
Hmm.
Johnny Depp and Nancy, which Johnny Depp's character's
Nancy?
is Johnny Depp's character named Gary.
I think so.
So there's there's Gary and Nancy, and when I tell you I think I was already, and I mentioned this, but I was distracted by like the weird artifacts my TV was trying to upscale the movie into. So
Hmm.
I was kind of like trying to figure out the movie, like seeing what it was looking like. But it does that tracking shot, and I went, and it stays on them talking about like her dream, and I went, wait a second, did I see one shot? And I got up from my pillow and like clicked back in the movie and went, oh my gosh, that was one shot.
Yeah.
Oh, anyways, that was really cool. So that's I think that's the first time while watching a movie for this that I've paused it to go, wait, I need to know what I just saw for
Right.
sure again because it's so subtle and it's like our first shot out of Dream World is also really trippy, which is
Hmm.
interesting. Or one of our first. Well, because then it's her and her mother who's only there for a little bit, but then like cut to morning. So one of the first shots from reality is from there. And and so you're just following this group of kids, and then you meet Tina's boyfriend, who's, you know, an 80s, uh, how do I want to put it? Just an 80s weirdo,
Yeah.
uh,
Wears
typ
leather, I think, if
typical
I remember
misfit.
correctly.
He's older than the rest of them, question mark.
I don't think he's
And
supposed to be, but he definitely is.
and he's just got some sort of, as we would say these days, toxic relationship with Tina, but it's the 80s.
Hmm.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. But this Tina girl clearly has some troubles. How much do you want me to go through that? Like, and I'm just like, okay.
Right.
I'm like,
Well,
this is the
so
setup of the movie.
yeah, basically you're into the setup. And when you actually get to that first kill, because it's Tina's character who gets killed first, how much were you expecting? How much did it catch you off guard? Because she raises up and starts getting attacked by an invisible force. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it is. It
And it's
goes
really
from,
bloody.
yeah, it, and that's why I was saying it's like, and to try to, you know, explain for people who haven't. freshly seen this movie. It goes from pretty much like, hey, it's the 80s
Hmm.
to she's having this weird nightmare. She's
Hmm.
like wandering around. It's pretty much like the first scene we saw until this man, this weird, well, Freddy Krueger, this
Hmm.
weird guy, starts attacking her. And then we cut back to reality and she just starts flailing around and gets like drug up the wall,
Hmm.
which is like it's wild. It's very creepy and it's
Hmm.
very effective because it's out of nowhere. I mean, and up until that point, I think we've had maybe like the stretchy limbs. So the
Yeah, the
movie's
long
given us
arms.
some effects and they've been all right.
Kind of
They're
cheesy.
yeah, they're kind of cheesy. And then all of a sudden, the lady who the movie's kind of treated like our heroine up until this point,
Hmm.
like gets brutally murdered.
Yeah.
Yeah, very bloody. I think it was a quite a surprise. I mean, like I went from going, oh, it's like an 80s, like, hey, like a little weirder than, and by weirder, I mean, I don't know, a bit edgier than Gremlins.
Right.
Here we are.
Hmm.
It's the 80s. To she gets like torn apart. She gets like the knives get cut into
Hmm.
her belly and she just starts bleeding everywhere.
Yep.
There's blood everywhere. And she's like up on the
And she's like
ceiling.
floating around and banging into
Yeah.
stuff.
And she's
It's
like,
pretty wild.
yeah, she's flailing around. It is not a pretty sight. Her boyfriend, who's been up there, is just like, what is going on? And
Hmm.
us, as the audience, are also with him, like, what's going on? And it's just, and from then on, the movie's like, I am definitely more intrigued.
Hmm.
It is like, it's a very, yeah, very bloody, brutal death of like who we thought our heroine was. And then we're in like, then where's the movie go from here?
Right.
So,
Well, from there, then, I believe the boyfriend is suspect number one because he was the only one in the room at the time when she gets killed. And then, but I believe that or not Heather Langenkamp is the actress. Nancy's character, Nancy, is also having nightmares about him. So she's kind of wise to what maybe has happened. And then she kind of goes on her quest to kind of figure it out. So then the movie kind of kicks into high gear with Johnny Depp running around being just a little guy.
being all handsome. I think something I really enjoy about this movie is just the fact that they don't try to distinguish the dream reality from
Hmm.
the real world,
Right.
like at all. I think it's done very well and makes you never quite sure what you're watching.
Hmm.
I also think Freddy Krueger is a very it's like the most obvious horror take ever. He's a very interesting villain.
Yeah.
You can see him, but you still don't know what's up. You don't know what's up with him for the longest time. He's just in the dream,
Hmm.
and it's very, yeah, very compelling. And like I'm not a big slasher guy. Santino just got his earbuds ripped out for the dozenth time by this poor cat. This poor cat ripped out his earbuds.
Every time, man. Every
When
time.
are we gonna upgrade? That's what I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big slasher guy,
Hmm.
but this movie like it's creative. It's a creative original idea
Right.
and it just sticks with it. It stays in that lane. And
Hmm.
I think it's done quite well.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head there, which is slashers in general, they can only really do so much. And so to say, well, what's the one thing we can do that's going to make this stand out from the rest? Well, let's make it in dreams. And let's really heavily blur the lines between what's real and what isn't. So now the audience is constantly guessing. If you do your job right, you should be in constant suspense because you never know when it's a dream and when it's not. And he can do anything he wants in a dream, although he tends to do kind of weird, cheesy things in a dream. But it's visually inventive and it's interesting. And just while we're on that topic, really quickly, I want to throw out that, there are, I think this is the horror fans are gonna hang me for this. I want to say there's like eight Nightmare on Elm Street. There's a lot because I just watched Nightmare on Elm Street 5 again last night. And there's still at least two or three more after that, not counting the reboot and not counting Freddy versus Jason. So there's a lot. And the thing is, each one gets wilder and less serious and stupider and way dumber and way more fun and also just more bizarre. And my favorite in the franchise is Nightmare on Elm Street 5. It's called The Dream Child. I call it The Dream Fetus, and if you ever see it, you'll know why. It is hilarious. It is unhinged. The art department, for an $8 million movie, the art department was working overtime on this thing. Like everything, every technique, every animation style, every composite, every makeup you've ever seen, it all happens in that movie, right? And so that's the fun, I think, of Nightmare on Elm Street as a franchise, as opposed to say Friday the 13th or just Halloween or whatever, because you can do anything you want with it. But Freddy as a villain is kind of goofy. I mean, he's scary because of what he can do, but by the third movie, he basically just turns into kind of a cartoon.
Well, and he like slinks around,
hmm
is like always like shuffling his feet.
hmm
And I think really the knife hands is what does it. Like if he
Yeah,
didn't have that,
he wouldn't be anything.
he might not really work. If you just run around with a knife,
hmm
it's I don't know. You really have a lot going on there. I think one of the movies or one of the point in the movie that really made me question what exactly I was watching is when they're in the uh, sleep doctor's lab
hmm
and you cut to the mom and the sleep doctor and there's this poster on the wall. And I think I also paused the movie for that because
hmm
it's this cat poster.
Yeah.
And I went, what? Wait, what? What did I just see? And I think again, I went back in the movie and I went, what is that? And then I spent a little bit of time doing research on my phone. But it is just this crazy cat poster of cats in San Francisco on the trolley.
Yeah.
That's just in the movie for a
hmm
little bit. That's pretty great. That was one of the moments in the movie where I genuinely was like, what? Wait, what? Did I just so I'm a fan of that cat poster.
Oh yeah. Well, so as the movie goes on, each of her friends gets picked off one by one. And so she's trying to stay awake. And of course you can't. That's kind of what's also scary
She
about it.
said
You have to sleep at some point.
she's been awake for like a week.
Supposedly, yeah.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
wild.
Which I can tell you from secondhand experience that after 3 days of no sleep, you really don't function. You just kind of stand around like a zombie and you don't really make choices anymore. So that's unrealistic, but it's a great idea and it's a spooky concept because you have to sleep eventually. And they're in the sleep clinic. And I believe that's when we get the big revelation of like, oh, this is how it works. If you'll
Yeah.
elaborate for the viewers.
So what's realized by our heroine is that if she's holding on to something while she's in the dream and she wakes up, she brings it back with her to reality.
Yeah.
And she does that by grabbing his hat, which he then gets back, right? Without
Yeah,
her.
kind of inexplicably, he gets it back.
But
But
it's a movie about a dream guy. So
right.
that was just an observation. And so her new plan is she wants her boyfriend, Johnny Depp, to be there when she wakes up and if she grabs Freddy and brings
Mhm.
it back, and then he can wallop him,
Right.
which is an interesting plan. So,
Yeah, bring him into
sh-
reality so you can kill him again.
yeah.
Which I don't know if that technically means when you bring him into reality, you resurrect him. He now
Well,
has flesh. I don't really
I
know how
think,
that works.
I mean, I think I want to talk about the plot of this movie closer to the end of our conversation because I have some thoughts about it that are
Okay.
not they're
Right.
observational in their nature, and so we can deal with that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But he comes back like she's in this dream, and then she wakes up, right, and then she gets the phone call,
hmm
and Freddie says, "I'm your boyfriend now." She says, "What
Yeah.
have you done with my boyfriend?"
hmm
And the phone's got a tongue,
Yeah, the phone
and
licks her, which is great.
And then we have the scene of Johnny Depp. I mean, this is might be a little early in our discussion of this movie, but where Johnny Depp gets sucked into the bed,
Hmm.
and then it's just the geyser of blood that
Hmm.
comes out, which is just like, again, so much blood. So much. It's all of it. They used all of the blood.
There's some iconography there for sure. Like you don't forget that image.
Yes. This movie, it's really incredible what they do. And we can get in the conversation right now where they did a lot with a little
Hmm.
is what's really impressive about this movie. Like just how tight of a ship it was and how well it turned out. I don't know if you want to speak to that right now or
I
oh,
mean, we can get into it maybe in a little more detail later. We can say right now it was $1 million movie. That was basically it. It might have been 1.1. That's basically nothing. Now that is 80s, 1984 million. So that's worth a little more, but it's still not much. It's really not
yeah.
enough to do what they did.
And they know what they can do and they do it to the best of their abilities because of what we always talk about, because of planning
Hmm.
and just know it like knowing your craft, knowing what you can get away with and having people who specialize in what they do working at the just being excited to work on this idea because it sounded like I mean I watched most of like a featurette on the movie today and it
Was
sounded
it the
like
movies that made us?
no,
Oh, because Movies That Made Us has a whole episode on Nightmare on Elm Street.
I don't think it
Pretty
was.
pretty fascinating. But go ahead.
But it seems like everyone who's involved with this movie was like very happy to be
Hmm.
involved with it and really could tell there was something there. I mean, the director had established himself a decent amount at that point, so it
Hmm.
wasn't like
Yeah,
this
Wes
brand
Craven
new.
wasn't a nobody. That's
Yeah, he
for
wasn't
sure.
a nobody, and there were people attached to like the behind the scenes of the movie, but they really just were all excited to work on this idea, and the results speak for itself, which is about as good of a 80s horror movie I think as you could want. I don't know
Mm.
what else you would want from this movie. But to get back into our kind of play by play, right? Freddy is then in reality
Hmm.
and Nancy has booby trapped the house, which is incredible, which is just fantastic.
Full Home
And so
Alone
yeah, full home alone.
prior to
And
Home Alone even existing.
and so Freddy's chasing her around the house and running into all these booby traps, including like gunpowder in
Yeah.
a lamp,
Hmm.
crazy stuff. And the whole time she's like yelling out the window because
Hmm.
her boyfriend's been killed across the street,
Right.
and
Yeah, aren't
the
all the cops
cops,
across the
yeah,
street?
they're all across the street, and she's
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I need help,"
Yeah.
and they're like, "Yeah, you're fine, lady. We're all over here."
Right. Nothing could be
Even if,
happening over there because we're over
yeah,
here.
even if there was like a real flesh and blood murderer, you
Hmm.
think that all the cops would be like, yeah, there could be somebody still loose, even though, I don't know, Gary's turned into soup,
Yeah, pretty much.
effectively, a smoothie of sorts.
Mm.
And she gets chased around the house and then eventually gets lit on fire.
Mm. Oh yeah, lights Freddy on fire in the basement.
Yeah, and then Freddy goes upstairs to attack the mom.
That's where the wheels kind of fall off a bit because he's like strangling the mom on the bed.
Oh, and then the
Then
dad shows up and throws the cover over.
yeah, and then he just kind of they both disappear into the bed. Like mom's gone, and I don't know why. I've seen this movie like three
Well, and
times
they
and I
and
don't
they
know
like
why.
they descend down, and then it comes, and then it's like, "Are you okay?" Yeah,
Hmm.
and then she realizes it's all been a dream,
I guess.
and then she wakes up, and this is the part I texted you about, right?
Hmm.
I wasn't upset, but I did not understand the end of this movie.
Right.
Like, I don't know what I just watched, and I know partially why. It's because there was a fight about how the movie should end,
Right.
which there was like three ideas. At first, they wanted like Freddy to pick her up in the car,
Hmm.
and then they're like, no to that. Well, I think they wanted Wes Craven might have wanted a happy ending. I don't
Yeah, I
exactly.
forget
Someone
how
wanted
it
a
goes.
happy ending.
Yeah.
Someone
The
wanted
studio
sequel
wanted
bait.
sequel bait. I think they shot like 20 different versions.
Yeah, at least three. There's at least one that, well, at least two that aren't in the movie
Mm.
because there's the one where Freddy picks her up, and then There's the one that's in the movie, which is Freddy's taking control of the car,
Hmm.
and then Freddy's still in the house and pulls the mom through the window, which
Pretty
that's
great.
wild.
It's
It's
pretty
pretty
great.
great. And then the movie ends.
Yeah.
And I was like, I
Which,
don't
you
I
know,
don't want to no, and like I want to like articulate how I feel right. I was like,
yeah.
okay, did I miss something? Like I don't want to be one of these like ending explained people. But And then it's like I texted you, which is like I'm not upset, but I don't know what I just watched. And you're like, yeah, I don't know what that was either. And
Mhm.
it's like, okay, I'm glad I'm not alone on that. But
Which, I mean, you think to rewind there a little bit, you think you know what's going on. Like you're watching it, and you're like, oh no, it's still, I think we're still in a dream. But then everything that happens is just so confounding, and then it just kind of ends, and you're like, wait, oh, that's what we're gonna
yeah,
do.
it's like, oh, no, we're in real life for 1 second. And it's like,
Hmm.
no, we're in a dream.
Right.
But no, we must be in real life.
Hmm.
But no, it must be, wait,
Right.
wait,
It must
huh?
be a dream because
Wait,
everybody's still
oh,
alive.
wait, wait, huh? That's kind of
Right.
what I did
Hmm.
watching the movie. And then the movie's done. And you're like, oh. But all in all, I mean, what I was impressed. I was impressed by this movie. And, talk about doing a lot with a little and like the technicalities of it. I think, first off, to fulfill me wanting to talk about the plot of
Hmm.
this movie, what it left me thinking is we talk a lot these days about, oh, there's no original ideas. There's no original ideas anymore, which is true to a sense, in a sense. There's a ton
Hmm.
of, existing IP that's just being reused and reused. But what I think we're missing out on are movies like this where there is an original idea, but
Hmm.
it's not like crazy creative,
Hmm.
right? That's my big profound takeaway is like this is an original idea, but it's nothing like groundbreaking necessarily even in its execution. And I get what you're saying and like it did something new.
Hmm.
It like right, it is creative, but it's not like convoluted. It
Right.
doesn't get to be original. It doesn't have to be convoluted,
Hmm.
which I appreciate. It's what if there's a guy in your dreams who could kill you?
Right.
And then what if he could come through? Like that's like those are the ideas. Those are the basic ideas of this movie. And it doesn't really care about explaining that. I think that's something we glanced over is like the mom at one point is like but this drunk who's always drinking this like a bottle of something
Hmm.
that she's like at various points in the movie pulling out from different places, which
Yeah.
just feels hilarious
Oh yeah.
and is hilarious.
Hmm.
But so I was pulling out these bottles of liquor and pounding them back, and she tells Nancy that Freddy Krueger was this child murderer that because of some like um
Some weird
like
law thing. I forget how that
yeah,
goes.
some weird law thing is the right way to put
It
it.
really
That like he
probably wouldn't happen, or
yeah,
wouldn't have happened, at least at the time.
that like because some search warrant wasn't signed, Freddy Krueger got to go away free,
Hmm.
and all the parents went to where he was and killed him, like
Yeah.
burned him alive, lit the
Yeah.
building up, went to the old warehouse and lit it on fire.
Hmm.
Which that's an element of the movie that even though it doesn't then and explain how he became able to possess people from their dreams,
I guess because
it
he's so evil.
yeah, because he's so evil is about all it is. Um, I like how the setup then essentially is like this urban legend.
Hmm.
I really like that. It feels really X-Filesy because again,
Yeah.
like the explanation is and how he got these weird metaphysical powers is just evil.
Hmm.
He's just a creepy guy who had some bad stuff and happened to him.
Hmm.
So fate intervened and it created this dream monster. Like that's an X-Files episode.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's just like any ghost story. Like you said, an urban legend. If someone dies and they have unfinished business, now they're a ghost. If they were murdered, they're a ghost. If they were really evil, they'll come back. It's like really basically throw a dart at a board and pick any random explanation you want, and that's why it's a ghost. Like that's how
yeah,
it works.
And I think it works. Like that's
Hmm.
again, like you don't have to be particularly creative
No.
in your
And if you
original idea.
got a scientific explanation, it wouldn't improve the movie. It would just be convoluted, like you said. It would just be like, oh, now we have this crazy, like, 10-minute exposition about why.
Like if there
And
was
it
a
doesn't matter.
scene in the movie where like a computer screen spelled out for you part of what happened, you'd be like, "Oh, this is weird," especially because it's the 80s and computers can't do that yet.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's just a that came to
Shots
my mind.
fired. Shots fired. Well, and
But
also, I mean, it's the other thing that too, I think, to that point is just that when you're making any kind of monster, it's always creepier, even if that monster's a person. It's always more effective if you don't know everything. And so just like how in season 4 of Stranger Things, they explained Vecna's origin, well, now he's not scary anymore. So it's
yeah,
best to just let Freddy be so evil that he now has supernatural powers. It just makes more sense that way.
that is consecutive Stranger Thing episodes with Stranger Things
Yeah,
references. You could
that's
tell we're getting excited for the
yeah.
season coming up.
And also a little passive aggressive. I'm also a
Yeah.
little
Well,
I'm a
yeah,
little I'm a little
embittered.
salty about the whole like season 4 thing, but whatever. But sorry, continue. Continue.
But I like that. It's like
Yeah.
essentially this urban legend come onto the screen, and there's this great Wes Craven quote that I'm going to paraphrase, even though I screen recorded when he said it, that he was very aware that of this idea, and I'm kind of shocked we've gotten this far into the podcast without me talking about this, that a good monster like says and does what we never can,
Hmm.
and it's this like this force of like fighting back against these like weird things that we at least we see in our lives, like the unjust things or the foolish things of youth are then paid back by monsters. Um, that's like a really fun idea. Like these archetypal ideas, and he was working in like archetype. He talked about that when writing this movie. Is like
Hmm.
he's very aware that like Freddy is this archetypal archetypal
Archetypical.
uh character in that he is kind of just doing and like put like enacting revenge on youthful foolishness. And I just we miss that, I think, these days. And so you have this like urban legend of which that's all in a good way. That's all this movie is this like
Hmm.
extended urban legend of there was once this guy who was real evil and we enacted revenge and now he comes for the youth
Right.
to steal back what he never could have again.
Mm.
This like youthful beauty. It's like it's cool. Like that's what makes stories work. Like I was reading about, C.S. Lewis today and chronological snobbery and how just because something's like newer doesn't mean it's better. And that's why, and it's all to say like that's why the old stories still work. That's why
Right.
it's why, and it's not necessarily like, and that's why this is a masterpiece. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying to do kind of that blanket story of a heroine works so
Hmm.
well is because it's just a good story. And I think that's what this, even though this doesn't have like the mind-breaking plot or like the cuts back and forth, which it kind of does with it being a dream or not. But
Hmm.
it's not, I mean, Hell House LLC 2, The Abaddon Hotel is a more convoluted
It
movie
really is.
than
It really has a
this.
lot more going on. It's kind of hard to keep track of compared to this.
Yeah,
This one
and
is
this
just you just don't know if you're in reality or not, but you know what the story is.
it's A or B.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, to your point, you know what the story is, you know who the bad guy is,
Yeah.
you know who the good guys
You just
are.
don't know if you're awake or not.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, and I think it does that really well. I like
Mhm.
unapologetically am quite impressed by this movie, which is funny given, you
Yeah.
know,
I'm actually surprised that I didn't think you would hate it. Obviously I hardly recommend anything that I think you'll hate, but I'm surprised that you're as receptive to this one as you are. Um, that's cool.
I am too. Yeah.
Jumping back really quickly to the thing you pointed out about the mother. I don't know if we've mentioned this on the podcast before. We may have mentioned it just in our general talking about movies when we hang out, but I've definitely mentioned this to people I know, which is there's something that happens in B movies, which I think Nightmare on Elm Street rides this fine line between both being well executed and original and genuinely gory and scary, but then also being kind of cheesy at the worst of times in a way that almost makes it kind of a B movie. Um, and I think what's so cool about a B movie is that there are certain tropes that they're just inescapable. And one of them is a crazy mother. Now, I don't know if we went over this because you and I watched Elves and you recall the mother in Elves.
I was thinking of her
Yeah,
as we were watching, or as I was watching this movie. The royal we was watching
right.
Nightmare on Elm
So,
Street.
there's something there. And I don't know why, but in every B movie I've ever seen, almost without fail, there's usually like if there's a mother character, she's usually unhinged. And it's the same in Terrifier 2. It's the same in like in this. It's the same in like several of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. It's the same in oh, what was the name of the other movie? It just happens all the time. It just
I
happens
mean, there's
constantly.
even like a slightly nutsy mom in Creature from Black Lake.
Yeah,
Like
kind
if
of.
you want to break it down like that,
Mhm.
like the mom at the house where they go and stay.
Yeah.
Like you can't say like she's not as
She's not as overt, but she's definitely
overt,
there.
but she's nutty.
Oh
Like
yeah.
there's enough of that
Yeah,
though,
she
to what
and
you're
the
talking
husband are
about.
both a little nutty. And the
Yeah.
waitress is also kind of
Yeah.
they kind of spread out the nuttiness a little bit. And then oh, and then which you haven't seen, which we might get to at some point too, Sleepaway Camp. The mother in that is comedy gold. Like there's just and in general, B movies seem to take these big swings, these broad characterizations. So if there's a mother, she's going to be crazy. If there's a police chief, he's going to be angry, and that's his only personality. He's just angry. He'll yell all the time. Like in Slugs, there's a police chief, and I don't know if you'll ever watch Slugs, if that'll be on the list, but the police chief in that is amazing because he's always PO'd immediately. And like somebody will walk into the room who he called into the room and they'll be like, "What do you need?" And he's like, "Who asked you? Get out of here." He's like, "Well, you called me." He's like, "Get out, get out." And it's like he'll just immediately throw anybody under the bus and it's amazing. So
Yeah,
that's
and
something that happens for sure.
yeah, it's again like it's this archetype thing. It's like
Mhm.
simple. It is one-dimensional
Yeah.
characters, but it is because you're operating within that urban legend framework,
Hmm.
that genre film framework, that I think it works so well for me.
Yeah.
Is 'cause that's all it is, and it knows that. And there's no wink to camera. There's no, camp. Well, you know what I'm saying. There's no like irony. There's no look
Hmm.
at us. There's no meta humor of the situation. But it's he's mad. She's smart, and no one trusts in her.
Hmm.
He's a bad boy. He's a good guy, but he
Hmm.
falls asleep. Like there's not a whole lot. There's not necessarily like character development,
Yeah.
right? Nancy's a strong female lead at the beginning of the movie, and she is at the end,
Hmm.
right? Like we don't move a whole lot,
No.
but
She learns some things. That's about it. She
yeah,
gets some gray hair by the end of the movie. That's about
yeah,
it.
she gets some gray hair, and
Hmm.
there's like the catharsis is all you
Hmm.
need. Big
Yep.
big word there, of course, from me. But like you get to live out these archetypes through the movie, and that's
Hmm.
it. The movie
Yeah.
doesn't try to be anything more than that. It stays, but in its very ness, in its
Hmm.
very yeah essence. It is just staying within its boundaries. It's
Hmm.
not pushing anything. And I
Yeah.
respect that. And within staying in its box, it goes okay. Because I mean, we were talking about this with the budget, but I mean,
Hmm.
again, kind of in just like what it's trying to do. It just stays within its box, and it's like, okay, how can we do this well?
Hmm.
And it executes that very well in ways that movies would not attempt to be executed these days, which is a darn shame, if you ask me. Because like this is $1 million movie that they built a rotating set for.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
because yeah, and had tons of like budgetary problems and
Hmm. Well, and the
all
oatmeal
sorts of stuff.
staircase.
Yeah. It had
Which,
all sorts of issues.
the oatmeal staircase is funny because you can see it coming. Like they didn't blend it very well, so you knew, oh, that's gonna be liquid. It's still a fun effect, but it wasn't quite well
Yeah.
done. Um, the blood coming out of the blood geyser, I think, is probably the best thing in it. Her that and Tina, her death is pretty interesting. And the Blood Geyser is interesting because, as I'm sure you may have read, of course, you have to turn the set upside down and lock the camera down upside down so that it looks like it's going up. But did you know that when they did that, okay, so the set's filling up, right? And so it's filling up, it's filling up, it's filling up. But then now you've got a counterbalancing problem. And so the whole thing wants to flip the other way because you're emptying a lot of weight from the top
Mm.
down to the bottom. So now you have to like try to brace that, but now it's really heavy down here. And then another thing that happened was the guy up top who's releasing all these gallons of water, he's got it all in like these big metal barrels. And it's all plumbed down to go through one big giant opening. And but they still had like the lamp and everything else on in the room. So there's electricity running to the room. When the room fills up to a certain point, it hits that socket and all that electricity rushes back up through the geyser and into the cans and like electrocutes the guy. He's fine.
Wow.
But like the whole thing was like fried the circuit and it was a whole deal. Like there was a lot of, that glove they only made one of and those blades were sharp. There was no stunt glove. There should have been. Like people are getting cut on it all the time. Robert
Well,
Englund's
yeah,
getting cut on it all the time.
it's just nuts to me because I mean, we said it, but for both the Tina kill and the blood geyser, they
Hmm.
built one rotating set. So they
Yeah.
built a room that they could, spin 180 degrees
Yeah.
in a soundstage. And they also built the whole house on a soundstage, which just, I mean, well, the interior, I'm assuming,
Mhm.
which that's just not, I feel like how money's spent a ton these days. I mean, maybe they do this the house, but like to okay, we're gonna build a rotating set with what little money we have. We're gonna
Hmm.
make one room and we're gonna make it two rooms in the movie.
Right.
Is just great.
Yeah.
You
Well,
I love it.
because they had to. There was no
Yeah.
other way to get it done. See, now you've got other options. So, you spend the money on other things. But yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic that they were able to do what they did. And the atmosphere of the movie is pretty great. I mean, it's despite some of the cheese and despite some of the other things that don't make a lot of sense, atmosphere-wise, it's definitely got it. It's creative. I think Johnny Depp is playing a high schooler, but he's maybe, I want to say he's like 22 in this movie. Johnny Depp always looked younger than he was. Like when he was in Pirates of the Caribbean, he was in his 40s for Pirates of the Caribbean, and the dude looked like he was still in his 30s. So he didn't really
Yeah.
age until just the last like 5 years. It kind of just hit him all at once. But
Yeah,
it's a great movie.
it is a great movie and it does have a ton of atmosphere.
Mhm.
And it does look great. I think it has, wonderfully like wet concrete in its night scenes and it does all the right little things to just, draw you in. It's really well lit. That cinematographer was apparently like the perfectionist who would be like caring about, small details and tiny parts of the screen. And it shows like the whole frame is taken care of most of the time.
Mhm.
I also think I I mean to your point, like there's no other way to do it. So there's a ton of simple effects that work really well because there's a practical technical feat being done. I
Mhm.
mean, even like the bathtub stuff
Yeah.
with the hand, where it literally was a guy like
Yeah, just under the
holding
water,
his
just
breath
going.
because they built a tank underneath the bathtub
Mhm.
is just it's just great. And it's simple. Like that's all you need to do. You don't
Mhm.
need to do anything else. And I'm sure they still would do that for movies. I don't want to be
Yeah.
this Scrooge who's like, they never do anything practical anymore.
Yeah, they do still do a lot of practical, but I think it's more impressive when you look at these old movies simply because they had so little money most of the time. So you're always kind of like blown away. Like I said, last night I was watching The Dream Fetus, and that whole movie, it's only $8 million. And they built everything. They built MC Escher staircases. They built like whole churches and insane asylums and all these like it's like they just couldn't stop building. And even in Alien, the original Alien, they just kept building sets. They just kept building and building and building. And you just don't see as much building now. You'll still see some practical effects, you'll still see some problem solving, but the building of sets and things has really decreased. And all the way back to the beginning, you said that, there's a New Line Cinema logo that you've never seen before. You found in your research that this was the first movie for New Line Cinema, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like this is what put them on the map. It was their jewel in the crown for a decade that really was the thing that made them money.
Which that is just crazy.
Mhm. And from 1984 to 2000, or would it be 2001? In that span of time, they went from Nightmare on Elm Street and like a mom dummy getting pulled through a tiny window that looks like it might be an inflatable doll. Like it looks terrible. You went from that inside of less than 20 years later, you're doing Lord of the Rings. Like,
That is, yeah, that is
yeah,
wild. Like 15 years later.
yeah, the company grew pretty quick. Yeah, 15 years because Lord of the Rings would have been in pre-production in like the late 90s, like 98, 99. So, yeah, they got a lot accomplished in a short period of time. Old Bob Shea and his
What
money.
a That's just crazy. That is wild. I don't know if I have a whole lot more thoughts about this here movie.
Okay. Well, you wanna wrap it up, give it your rating, and then we'll jump into Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, sounds
All
good to
right.
me. I think obviously I like this movie
Mm-hmm.
to lay that out there. I liked it. Um, I want to rate this like because these ratings are supposed to be objective, right? So I
As
don't want to
objective as you can be,
as
but
objective as possible. So I want to give it a 6.5,
yeah.
which sounds really low because I sound so much happier than when I talk about movies that I give a six. But that's the difference between a six and a 6.5. I
Mm-hmm.
also want to be fair because I think this movie is really good, but it has its shortcomings. But it's not a masterpiece. It's
No.
not like anything crazy. But I'd say a 6.5. And
Yeah.
seven starts to feel like way too much.
Yeah,
So
for sure. I think we're in perfect agreement on this. I'd give this about a 6.5.
and it's I don't think it has my heart, but it is the first movie we've talked about that I've been like, I want to know way more about this movie. I
Right.
mean, maybe with the exception of like Prisoners,
Right.
which I think I gave my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I was, this is the first, this is probably how many sentences can I start today? Of the 80s horror genre,
Mm-hmm.
this is the one that's caught my interest the most so
Yeah.
far. Like
Yeah,
where
for
I've been like,
sure.
I want to know because I know they're clearly not working with a lot. I want to know more about this movie, and like already have. Like I watched a 45-minute featurette on it, like
Yeah.
on my phone. So it has. I don't know if it has my heart, but it certainly has my interest right now, and we'll see going forward.
Yeah. No, that's perfectly, I think that perfectly sums it up because I think if you give it anything more than a 6.5, it's too generous. Anything lower isn't being fair because they did do a good job and it is the most original slasher ever to exist and it's super influential. And as the series goes on, the art department just gets crazier and the stories get weirder. And it's like what you said, it's just a fun horror movie. Like you can't give it too much more than that, but it does its job well
Yeah,
and
it
it's
really
memorable.
does. It really does its job well.
Yeah.
And what its job is a 6.5 out of 10
Yeah.
B 80s movie.
Yep.
But it does it about as well as you can. So that's this side of the double feature.
Okay.
Now we are moving on to Evil Dead 2,
Flip the record over.
which
Side B.
yeah, it's in the groove. Which is a movie I have seen before, like part of before.
Hmm. How much
And
of it did you see before?
this is the part where we will never know because
Oh.
the longer the movie went on, the more I was like, I've seen this, which I thought I stopped this movie halfway through, or maybe a little
Hmm.
bit more halfway through. And I kept going, I've seen this. I'm pretty sure. Up until
Uh-huh.
we get to like the trees start attacking the house,
Yeah.
which spoiler alert. But and then I was
So
like,
that's
I
like the
don't think
third
I've
act.
that's like 15 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but then how much did I see? And I saw the first one,
See,
but
that's
I
the
know
problem.
they're
The,
nothing like each other.
they're very similar though because they start the same way and they do follow the same general plot and you still have somebody
Yeah.
in the cellar. So when you've seen the first one, to see the second one does feel very familiar.
So then I'm like, I don't remember, especially because I was like, man, did I see this whole thing? And then towards the end of the movie, the way end of the movie,
Hmm.
which maybe this is like really early in our conversation about this, I was like, it was about, it was like the beginning of the third act because you see the page of the Book of the Dead that he's
Hmm.
in the medieval
Yeah,
thing. And it's like, oh, I haven't seen that part. If I had seen that, I would have stayed around. But then I
right.
saw the way end and I was like, I feel like I have seen this before, but this is just like an iconic scene.
Could be,
So have
yeah.
I seen it from then? So I don't know. If you held a gun to my head and were like, have you seen all of Evil Dead 2? It'd be a flip of a coin whether I'd live or die. If somehow
Interesting.
that if that stalker who's lived in my walls all these years like knew for a fact and I
Hmm.
because I don't. But I'll say all that to say you knew already, I kind of was like hesitant about this
Hmm.
movie,
Yeah.
but I think enough times passed since I've seen the first one that this time around I had a really good time watching this
There
movie
we go.
because when I first tried to watch this movie, like folks at home, just to let you know, like what was that, 3 years ago, if not a little longer ago. I was living in Akron. It's like, let's see how this is. But I had
Mhm.
seen the first one like a couple of years before, and I am a fan of it. I was a fan of it at the time. I don't know if I'm still a fan of the Evil Dead one, but
Mhm.
I was like, it's pretty cool, creepy vibe,
Mhm.
interesting stuff that movie does. And so when I watched the second one, it was a like, what is this? But not, I didn't feel it. It was not the right mood. And
Mhm.
then last night, it was the right mood. It was a
Yeah.
good time. I had enough of a vague recollection of the first one that I was like, oh,
Mhm.
it's funny because it's like the first one
Mhm.
and not like, why isn't it like the first one? Shaking my fist. Um,
Well, and you see, you were primed also after having seen Nightmare on Elm Street first to be in that headspace for, okay, it's going to get weird.
yeah, I think that really helped too. And this movie is just weird, man. And it's, I don't know, it pulls out a lot of the tricks and it's just for the okay,
Pulls
so
out all
do
the
we want
tricks, really. I can't think of a single thing it doesn't do. It
do
just keeps
we
doing it.
I want to pull out a summary, or do you want to summarize this movie? Because I know, hey, spoiler alert, folks at
Mhm.
home, Santino really likes this movie. I think we've said it on the show,
Yeah.
but
Well, so
like real,
synopsis wise, it's pretty simple. This is technically a light reboot of the first movie because they were going to make a sequel and then realized that they couldn't buy the rights to their own movie from the company that previously owned it because they were making this one with Dino De Laurentiis, and so they couldn't license it. So they effectively do a recap of the first movie in the first like 5 or 6 minutes, which is why so many random things happen all within the first 7 minutes. It's like he goes to the thing and then this happens, blah 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 blah, and you're like, wow, we're taking off
dude.
running.
At I wrote it down. 5 minutes in and 45 minutes and 45 seconds in,
Mhm.
approximately, Linda is taken,
Yeah,
and I
Linda's
was
taken.
like, this movie's moving so fast. I
Yeah, yeah. That's because that's the recap basically.
yeah.
So do you have
Recap
a
with less cast.
way less? Yeah, way cut back. Do you have a synopsis there that you
The
want to?
synopsis in front of me, Ash Williams, the lone survivor of an earlier onslaught of flesh-possessing spirits, holes up in a cabin with a group of strangers while the demons continue their attack.
Right. And I see that synopsis is technically incorrect because when Raimi set out to make this, they're basically starting over. But people, and Bruce Campbell's even said this, he's gone on record multiple times in interviews to say, like, people thought Ash was so dumb that he survived the first movie and still went back a second time with a different girl, a different Linda. He got two Lindas and decided, well, let's see if it goes any better this time, right? Which is hilarious. And that is almost like if you watch the show, I don't know if you'll ever be able to watch the show, but like they kind of combine both movies to make them canon. They just kind of like
Hmm.
do some retcon stuff. But basically, Evil Dead 2 is meant to kind of just erase the events of the first one. So what you're seeing is actually Ash Williams is just a guy going to the woods with his girlfriend, and then crap happens. That's basically the synopsis. He finds the Book of the
Yeah.
Dead, and then dead happens.
Well, and he doesn't even find the Book of the Dead. The Book of the Dead's there
Right. He listens
because
to the
of,
tape.
and they listen to the tape, and then that triggers the
Yep.
demon onslaught. And
Yeah.
which then is, oh my gosh. See, I think I was ready for the humor of this movie way more
Hmm.
this time around
Yeah.
than I was the first time.
Hmm.
Because this movie is like a slightly more demented Three Stooges humor,
Entirely. It's just
which,
Three Stooges with blood.
yeah, and I say that's slightly more demented because how much more demented can you be than Three Stooges? Let's be honest with ourselves. Um, yeah, it's Three Stooges with blood, and it's
Hmm.
one guy and a bunch of demon zombie things. It's just, and it starts and it doesn't stop,
Yep.
and
So
yeah,
this
breakneck
this this
speed.
is this is what I'm so there are so many things that I want to know, but just like with Nightmare on Elm Street, because they both start pretty well, although Evil Dead 2 definitely starts a lot faster. So you put the movie on between Nightmare on Elm Street and Evil Dead. Did you have an intermission? You go, you get a snack.
Went downstairs, and it was the top of the fourth of Game 3 of the World Series.
Hmm.
Vlad Guerrero Jr. was on first base. I didn't see how he got there. Learned he walked. He walked, and then I really wish I could recount play by play the inning. Next thing I know, Alejandro Kirk's hitting a home run. Blue Jays are up 3-2. I'm like, this is great. I should have come down sooner. I mean, I had a fun time watching the movie, but this is great. Go Blue Jays. You know, don't hate the Dodgers, but go Blue Jays. And then there's another RBI, 4-2. This is great. I'm gonna watch the bottom of the inning, and then I'm gonna go up and I watch, and I think it's a quick bottom of the fourth, and so then I go up. So yes, I had intermission. I watched. I think I just launched into my story. I'm not
Mhm.
really sure how we got here, but I was like, yeah, Blue Jays are gonna be great. Next thing I know, well, and then funny enough, I do go down
Mhm.
after I watch this movie, and that game's still going on. And then as we were talking earlier, that game then went on for another like 4 hours, which
Right.
baseball doesn't always do that. So that was crazy. Crazy night in my life, you know? But
But so you make
uh,
your way back upstairs.
I make my way back upstairs and I'm like, here we go.
Hmm.
And the movie starts and I'm like, oh, like, is this the movie with the bridge shot that I really like? Is it? I don't know. It is. I love
Hmm.
the shot of the bridge, the model on the bridge. It
Hmm.
might be in the first one too. Is it? Do you know off the top of your dome?
I just watched Evil Dead 1 last week, and they do use a model. It's a different shot, but it's equivalent. Yeah.
Yeah. I love those shots. I
Hmm.
love those shots. But it starts and it just I'm ready this time. I think
Hmm.
last time I wasn't ready. And I also realized just how loud my TV was. And I was like, is this too loud for mom? And she hasn't texted me. It's
Hmm.
probably fine.
Yeah.
But it is just within the first, what is it? It's within the first 5 minutes, Linda's gone. And
Yeah.
it's also around the time when he goes out and he gets like hit by the thing and then goes flying
Hmm.
and then spinning. And I just was like,
Yeah.
this is great. I also think it's like, that's the time when yeah, he hits a tree, then he goes in the
The
pool of
puddle.
water,
Hmm.
turns into the weird demon guy, gets out of that,
Hmm.
and then it's various shots of him laying down, and he's all like distorted differently in each one, or at least slightly differently. And I
Hmm.
noticed that, and it was really funny. I mean, this is just this movie starts and it doesn't stop, and it's
Hmm.
slapstick humor. There's a great moment when there's like the classic Evil Dead camera shot. It's not the first time it does it from far away of the cabin that then it zooms up, but it's the one, and might be one of the funniest moments in the movie to me, where it breaks through all the doors and then it
Hmm.
goes through the house to realize
And it's
like
like,
he's not in
yeah,
there.
it chases him through the house.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, what do you want to know? I'm an
Well,
open book
so
about Evil Dead
for
2,
for
except
for
play by play.
for the audience at home, the credits start. We get the bum 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 bum. That like the music in Evil Dead is hilarious. And then so we Evil Dead 2, we go through the tunnel, they're driving. It's him and Linda, they're gonna go to the cabin. You get the crappy model shot of them going over the thing. And so automatically, tonally, actually, I'm starting too soon. We get the prologue with the stop motion book, which is great.
Yes, that's when I knew like, oh, this is
Inked
going to
in
be
human
something.
blood,
Yeah,
the
it's a
Necronomicon Mortis.
yeah, it is a stop motion
Hmm.
infused prologue about the Necronomicon, and then it's a great like dolly helicopter-y shot of the car in a
Hmm.
tunnel, and it's like this is great.
Yeah.
Guys, what are we doing?
So you immediately know what you're in for, kind of. You know what the
Yeah, and
tone
then
is.
the tone's weird, and then
Hmm.
it's the like conversation about being sure the cabin, there's no one up at the
Hmm.
cabin, and it's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty sure
like
there's nobody at
yeah,
the cabin. Yeah. And then they get in there, they're doing the thing. And then like he plays the tape. I think this might be minute mark two and a half,
yeah,
three, something like that. He plays the tape. And then, like you said, by about 5 minutes, Linda gets taken. He goes in the room. There's no evidence of her anywhere. And then I forget how he ends up outside exactly, but he goes outside and she just lunges at him. And without hesitation, the love of your life, without hesitation, she looks a little creepy and she jumps at you. And that's all he needed to go, you know what? Your head's coming off. And he chops her head off.
yeah,
And you're like,
yeah.
I guess I'm going to bury her in the coal. And then he does.
Yeah,
And
he
like,
buries her in coal because
yeah,
which is just hilarious. Like, it's a great little detail that it's not even like earth,
nope.
it's coal. Oh, it's
He does
just
all
yeah.
this
He
really quick.
and this is move. Yeah, there's
This is like
no
the 6 minute mark. He's already
yeah,
buried her.
and I'm pretty sure he's not even that sad. He like
Not
just,
yet.
which does seriously imply the whole, and I guess I know it's not true, but like he's
Mhm.
done this before
Right.
thing, because that's the first movie for folks at home who don't
Mhm.
know is essentially, well, we didn't say it all yet, but like what we just said is the first 15 minutes, 20 minutes of the first one, where it's a group of four people who go to this
Yeah.
cabin and then
It's actually more
demon.
like the first 40 minutes. The first 40 minutes of Evil Dead 1, not a lot happens because Cheryl's the first one to get raped by the tree. Well, also the only one to get raped by the tree, but she's like the first
That
victim. And
happens.
then it kind of goes from there because they lock her in the cellar and it's a whole thing. So she's the first victim. But it takes like 30 minutes to get there. So the first 7 minutes of Evil Dead is really like the first hour, or the first 7 minutes of Evil Dead 2 is like the first hour of Evil Dead. They,
Yeah.
they they compress it really quickly. And then, like you said, he gets chased through the house. He gets thrown in the puddle. For whatever reason, the sunlight turns him not into a demon anymore. He's like, I gotta get out of here. So he gets on the thing, he drives, and then the bridge is out. And he's like, no. And then it gets dark really fast. There's like that matte shot of like a time lapse of the sun
Yeah.
going
Is
down.
it a little stop motion him on the other side of the bridge? Do you know the shot I'm
Uh,
talking about? Because he goes,
yeah, in the
no,
wide.
and then there's a
Yeah,
little guy, and
yeah.
it would
It's
seem
either,
useless,
I think
but
it might
it's
just be a matte shot of
okay.
him. I'm not
But
sure if
there's
it's
a little
actually a stop
him,
motion him.
and yeah, he's like, no, yeah, and then it's like night like that, which he just because when he, for the record,
It was just
he gets,
morning, and now
yeah,
it's
he gets
night.
blasted through the woods and ends up
Hmm.
back right at the cabin,
Hmm. Full
and then he's
circle.
like, oh, I got to go in the car.
Hmm.
Starts driving away. Yeah, it was just morning. Gets to the train tracks or the bridge is out, and then it's night again. And like
Right.
talking about this movie wasting no time. It's like, and we're back into everything. And then there's the great shot of
Mhm.
the evil. Is there a word we want to call for like the Evil
I
Dead
guess it's like the
tracking thing?
force, the evil force.
Yeah, the evil four shot,
Wow.
and then
Wow. Yeah.
the car.
Hmm.
I think
Chasing
those
him through
shots
the
are
woods.
incredible. Like
Hmm.
the first couple ones of those, and they cut. But if you did a version of that where it doesn't cut, that's just really cool, like grounded camera work that's just really, really interesting
Hmm.
and like really creative. What this movie does that's hilarious is whenever it's that evil presence shot, it has that wow, wow, wow sound. And
Wow.
then
Wow. Wow.
almost
Wow.
every single time it cuts away to another shot, the sound's gone.
Yeah, you don't hear it.
And
It's
it
only like in the
always
POV of evil.
always works to be funny. Like
It's like evil's just humming to itself, it's like, ah, and then you're like, ah.
yeah, I
It's,
mean that's within the first 5 minutes of the movie is
yeah.
exactly that where it's like oh bah. And the characters who are on the other side of it are always like are pretty much always clueless unless they're like being chased.
Right.
So
And it chases him, and then he crashes in a tree, and he launches out the window,
he
Three
crashes into
Stooges
a tree
style.
because he like gets distracted, which is the best part. And like it's not because the evil pushes him. It's like he's like looking at it in the mirror and it like
Hmm. Blam. Yeah, so dummy through the windshield, knocks his head on a tree, Three Stooges style, and runs back in the house, hides in the cellar. Evil loses him. It can't find him. And it's like,
I think that's when it just
wow.
goes through the house and it's like
Yeah.
what?
And then it leaves backwards. And then like you kind of see the camera start to fall over toward the end of that shot. Like it gets all the way back in the woods, and it's like, oh, and then it almost falls over. And they left that in. And then okay, so now he's alone. And I think from there. The very next thing that happens is we cut to the airport and we introduce some new characters after like the first 15 minutes of insanity. And
Yeah.
they get out of a plane, and the guy in the background, if you watch him, because it's the HGTV guy, he's like on QVC to this day. Like Evil Ed, he's on QVC, and then Annie with like the papers or whatever, she's the guy's daughter, the professor's daughter. There's a guy in the background who lets them out of the plane, and there's a second door, and he spends that entire scene trying to open the other door, even though no one else is coming out of the plane. And so he's just back there doing this the whole time because he had no other screen direction.
That's great.
So yeah, so continue from there. I mean, that's the setup, but then we
And
get
so then we meet do we cut back to
we
We cut
cut
back
back to
to
Bruce because we need Linda's corpse. Linda's resurrection is the next thing
yeah,
that happens.
she gets resurrected and she does her ballet because that's
Yes.
one of within the first 5 minutes the character introduction we get to Linda, which this is just great. Like this is not a
Hmm.
backhanded comment, is that she's Ash's girlfriend
Hmm.
and she does ballet
I
because
guess.
he's playing the piano in
Hmm.
this like one scene they're together in the cabin besides when they find the book. He's playing the piano and she's doing like these ballet spins.
Hmm.
And so then Linda shows up again as a corpse as the most Tim Burton-y stop motion before Tim Burton-y stop motion I've ever seen, I think. Which is really that's just the fact that's just in a movie is great.
Hmm. Yeah.
The very stylized stop motion is just there. Very like
It's also really excellent animation too. Like
yeah.
it's pretty great for what it is.
And she's just dancing. And it's
Mhm. She does a
pretty
spin, but her head stays in place while her body
yeah.
spins. It's like a porcelain head. And the rest of her is super rotted, by the way. She's been in the ground, what, a day?
I was
In
thinking that
coal.
she's rotted away. There's like bone,
Hmm.
like her shirt's not there no more.
Yep.
Like a lot of decays happened.
Hmm.
And it has for the audience, it's been at most like
24 hours.
yeah, 24 hours. So, and for like you as watching the movie, it's been like 7 minutes, if
Yeah.
that.
It's been no time at
And,
all.
and so she's doing that and it's pretty great. And then she like attacks him, right?
Hmm. Before she attacks him, though, she does her little dance. And my favorite part of that whole moment is she does the dance and he's watching in like enraptured disbelief. And then she does her little spin and she goes and just jumps away into the distance. You're like, what was that? And you just watch nothing for a while, and then she pops up in front of the thing and starts banging his head into the window, and then her head falls off, and
And then she bites his hand, right?
yeah. Hmm. Well, it turns out
And
that was a dream, and then the head falls in his lap inexplicably and bites his hand. He starts flailing around the room, trying to hit the head into everything he can.
for like 2 minutes, he's
Yeah,
just running around the house, banging her head, which is attached to his hand,
yeah.
against anything he possibly can. And that's what brings us to the chainsaw, which
The tool
that
shed.
moment's great. Like he goes to the tool shed, he finally, I think he says tool shed,
Hmm.
which is
Yeah, a great
fantastic.
dub, a fantastic dub.
And then, in homage to the first movie with
Hmm.
chainsaws, he goes to the same shed,
Hmm.
flips up where the chainsaw should be, and there is a horribly done outline of a chainsaw.
Hmm.
And he's like, huh. And then her corpse
Hmm.
without a head
Yeah.
comes in to the room, like kind of waddling
Like
in.
an evil Muppet.
Yeah. With the chain brandishing the chainsaw.
Mhm.
And I forget what he does from there.
It
He uses
attacks
something to
him.
hit it back.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a crowbar, I think.
Yeah.
And then like the saw comes back and it's the body and just starts spraying him with black blood. And then he does this amazing move where it's like spinning around and beating him with itself. And he grabs it and they go like this and then fall on the ground and he disarms it. Which, by the way, I just want to interject. Conceptually, your beheaded, rotten girlfriend's corpse kicking down a door with a chainsaw to come after you is a really great concept. That's super creepy and nasty. But the way it actually plays out in the
Well,
movie,
this movie doesn't take itself serious one bit.
no.
Like that's not played for scary
Mm-mm.
ever. I think that's what this movie does. Like it never really tries to be creepy. it's just funny, right?
Hmm.
Without making too light a fact of the like evilness,
Right.
like of the demonic presence. It's not like I don't know how to put that. It's again, it's not this like self-aware meta
No.
stuff we're used to these days. It's just it's the foundation for the comedy. Kind of
Mhm.
like Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein.
Right.
It's it is
It's very old school.
Frankenstein and Dracula are
Hmm.
just Frankenstein and Dracula who
Hmm.
sometimes make jokes in this movie, but
Hmm.
aren't like necessarily comedic versions of the cinematic things we are used to,
Right.
which is probably getting a little too film bro for even me in this moment. But it's yeah. So then he takes the chainsaw to her head,
Yeah.
but it doesn't show us that. It just the room goes
It
red
has the
with her
decency
blood.
not
Yeah.
to show us that.
Yeah, that's where this movie draws the where the censor
Hmm.
board drew the line for this
Which
movie.
I forgot on the way to the tool shed, he like stumbles out the back door and like trips and falls on that can or whatever, which I still to this day don't know if that was on purpose or not, but Bruce Campbell can fall, man. He can do some falls. So he cuts her up and he leaves the tool shed and he goes back in the house, gets a shotgun instead of a chainsaw. And then we go from there, which is a double barrel shotgun. So I don't know if that'll really help you too much. You don't get
Yeah.
a lot of firepower out of that. I think it's at this point that I think we cut to back to the other characters.
Yeah.
We
My
get
favorite character, Bobby Joe,
Baba Joe.
and and the guy, I don't
Yeah.
remember his name.
To this day, I'm not 100% sure what his name is.
And
He's
then
the
there's
hillbilly.
the yeah, there's the hillbilly guy and the daughter of the scientist and the other
Annie.
guy,
Hmm.
yeah,
Annie
show
and
up.
Ed.
Andy and Ed show up and the bridge is out, which he's like working on the bridge, question mark. And which was he gonna like what is he doing there? And, and
What I love about what I love about that, what I really love about that is if you look at what he's doing, he pulled up to the middle of nowhere to this bridge. He has one, count them, one like caution, whatever the heck that thing is. It's like the little sawhorse with like the spinning light on it to tell you, hey, watch out, right? He has one of those. He puts it down and then he walks 5 paces back to his truck, puts his foot up, and that's going to be his night. Like, if you really think about it, if Annie and Ed didn't drive up, his plan for the rest of the night was he and Bobby Joe were going to just stand there and watch that. Just watch the little light go around.
then they show up, and then the moment I was laughing about is Annie shows up and they make this deal to like take a trail
Hmm.
and like to pay him to take a trail. And he goes, it'll cost you $4,500.
$100.
And she goes, like, and you have to carry my bags. And the
Hmm.
movie shows us like what he thinks she's referring to, which is
Hmm.
like her purse and the few pages of the Book
Hmm.
of the Dead. But we know she has this giant trunk, and so
Hmm.
he's like, deal. And then the next
Sure.
thing is this like the most Abbott and Costello Three Stooges moment where we see them all walking through the woods, and he's carrying her giant trunk, like mumbling to himself, like,
Mhm.
I thought she just had those two bags. Like, and it's hilarious. It's just simple. He's struggling. It's hilarious.
He's such a gross character too. He's great. He's missing a bunch of teeth. He makes no sense. Also, how he
And Bobby
pulled
Joe,
Bobby
yeah.
Joe. Like she's fantastic looking, and he's rough to say the least.
I mean, I think it was the one time I've texted you, look at her while we're
Yeah.
watching a movie
Hmm.
because
In
it's deserving so.
in fact, you texted me, and I quote, "You sent me a picture of her, which actually is funny. It's like one of the worst pictures you could have sent me of her. She's not making like the most photogenic face." And you said, "Quote, can't decide if she's insanely attractive or nah." Which is hilarious because clearly you know which one you think. And I'm like, yeah, she has the it factor. And you're like, yeah, she a looker.
I mean, I didn't know what to say. I was
Mhm.
invested in the movie, so I
Yeah.
want to just get my point across while I had the opportunity.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
meanwhile, back at the ranch, Ash has somehow now had like a breakdown. His mirror twin starts talking to him and like tries to choke him, but he's actually choking himself. And then his hand gets infected with evil. And then he starts breaking dishes over his head, flips himself, which that was actually Bruce. That was not a stunt double. He flips himself in that tiny little space. And then the hand pulls him
The
across.
hand pulling him was so, I mean, all of what you just said, the sequence we've summarized up to this point is really good.
hmm
But like he knocks himself out doing that.
hmm
And then the hand, which like talks and I'm like, me, me, yep, which is just great. And then drags him across the room to try
hmm
to
Stab
cut
him, I
him,
guess.
to
Yeah.
stab him with a butcher knife that it
hmm
sees. And then he stabs it.
hmm
And it's like,
Who's
gotcha.
laughing now? And then he cuts his hand off with a chainsaw like a madman.
Yeah.
And then proceeds to chase the hand around the house with a shotgun like an Itchy and Scratchy cartoon. And like the hand
Like an
flips him
itchy and
off
yeah,
and
like
like
an itchy and scratchy cartoon is exactly what it's like. I mean, of course, it's anachronistic to say that, but
Mhm,
it's just in case our listeners have no clue what we're talking about and they've made it this
mhm,
far, like that's the best description I can give you is an itchy and scratchy cartoon.
mhm. And after he shoots the hand or a hole in the wall, I should say, the walls shoot almost as much blood, if not more, than what we saw in Nightmare on Elm Street. And then the furniture starts laughing at him. Which,
Yep.
by the way, at that point, because I know I've probably told you this story before, but for the listeners at home, I first saw Evil Dead 2 when I was 17. It came on IFC Midnight during Halloween for Grindhouse Month. The only thing I knew about it was rated X and it was coming on at midnight. So I thought, I might not be able to sit through this whole thing. We might have to stop, right? And my dad and I stayed up to watch this. And within the first 5 minutes, as we mentioned, he beheads his girlfriend and the corpse attacks him. And I thought, well, I don't really know what's happening now because you couldn't have promised me a hard-hitting, serious, disturbing, possibly snuff film anymore and then given me Three Stooges with blood. Because by the time the furniture starts laughing at him, I think it was the moment the deer head starts going like that. I was on the floor in pain, and I laughed so hard through the majority of that movie that I actually broke blood vessels in my eyes the next day. Like I had all these little red dots around my eyes. Like it was a fantastic experience.
Wow.
So yeah, the furniture laughs at him. The gooseneck lamp is laughing like Popeye. Like
The furniture, it's mostly, yeah, furniture laughing at
mhm.
him, which
Couch, the lamp,
the like the shelves,
the
the
shelves.
bookshelves, they're all
And then,
laughing.
of course, that's when everyone else decides to show up. He shoots Bobby Joe in the shoulder somehow. They attack him and kick him down in the cellar. And of course, they think that he's murdered Annie's parents because she hasn't seen anybody.
Yeah.
And then we get possibly, it's really hard for me to choose my favorite moment, but we get possibly my favorite moment in the whole movie. Ash is in the cellar, and upstairs they're playing the tape. Except now we're getting a little more exposition. And Dr. Nobi's saying that, my wife has been inhabited by a Kandarian demon, and I had to dismember her corpse. God help me, I buried her in the cellar, in the earthen floor of the cellar. And as soon as he says that, Henrietta busts out of the ground and screams, and Bruce Campbell screams like a woman. This high-pitched scream, and it's the funniest darn thing I think I've ever seen in my entire life. I can't think of a moment that plays so perfectly. The timing of it's perfect because you can almost feel it coming, and everyone starts kind of like thinking, "Oh, what's going to happen?" When that happened, walk me through your reaction.
I mean, I think, I mean,
I
it's
mean,
just
by
like
this
everything
point,
else
did you
when the
know?
movie, it seemed like it was going there, right? And I
Yeah,
think she says something about like the earthen floor,
yeah.
and that's really funny. But
hmm
yeah, it's like it is this build up to a moment that still works. And I think I mean, like it is really good. Where it's, I think just the fact he, they show up and he has to like explain himself, but he's clearly out of his mind. So that's like a funny part of this movie. And
Uh-huh.
there's like it's once he comes up to, it's like
Hmm.
he has to explain himself, but he's covered in blood and
Hmm.
dirt
And he's missing a hand.
and he's missing a hand. And I mean, just the setup to get him in the cellar is funny because they knock him out and then they're like, well, let's put him down there.
Hmm.
It's like you're just met a guy with no hand in the
Yeah.
woods, which to be fair, like you're expecting something totally different when you get here. But
Hmm.
it's like just the setup is itself insane to that moment that works really well.
So, I've kind of guided the meditation so far. You can take it from here because we're thoroughly halfway through the film. So, are there any highlights you really want to hit here?
I mean, not
Because it keeps
not
leveling
especially,
up.
yeah, because it doesn't stop doing and like the movie. I mean, maybe the moment we just mentioned is kind of maybe when it slows down the most
Mhm.
is halfway through the film.
Yeah,
But
because
it's
they
just
give
a
a bit of exposition, a little
yeah,
bit.
it's breakneck speed,
Hmm.
and it's really creative
Hmm.
and yeah, I mean, I can save any large thoughts till the end, but this, I mean, up until this point, and this is about the time where I'm like, how far in this movie did I watch the first time? Because I swear I've still seen all this, but it's when that thought was in my mind, but it wasn't like, it wasn't affecting my enjoyment of the film one bit.
Hmm. So
So
you see,
that's what I
once
got.
once we get past all that, you get a few extra fun moments. They step on Henrietta's head, and the eye pops out, and Bobby Joe swallows it. And that's a Three Stooges moment. That's just the grape thing with the Three Stooges, but
Yeah.
it's with an eyeball. And reverse photography on that. They had the eyeball in her mouth on a string, and then she acts in reverse, and they pull it out of her mouth. So there's a lot of reverse photography, a lot of fun stuff. Evil Ed happens, and kind of looks like an evil Mick Jagger with a lot of teeth, and they chop him
Yeah,
up.
he just becomes like possessed.
Yeah, for no reason. It just happens. They're like, we got to get rid of a couple characters. And then Bobby Joe goes running out in the woods and gets, I guess, just eaten by a tree. They don't really
Yeah.
go in the same direction as Evil Dead 1, thankfully, but she's just gone. Which when they pull her through the puddles, it almost looks like she explodes because she hits the puddles. There's like pow, pow. There's like all this water.
Well, and it's an extended pull through the woods, which is really
Yeah.
funny. She just keeps getting pulled and pulled and pulled.
And then, of course, he goes out there looking for her, and we get that immaculate moment where
Baba
Bobby,
Joe.
Bobby, whoa, Joe, whoa. And yeah, it just keeps going. Ash gets possessed. I love the moment where Annie's like, her whole plan is Ash is possessed and he's trying to bang the door down, and she's wedged against the door, and her only plan is to just keep screaming. She's not trying to do anything else. She's just screaming as much as she can. And then she thinks it's Ash coming through the door, and she gets the Kandarian dagger and she stabs him, but it's actually the hillbilly dude, which is so great because he takes it in the stone. He's like, and he has like the best look on his face. It's a great reaction. And then she's like trying to pull him through the door, and she keeps closing the door on him, and he keeps yelling. She's like, "Shut up!"
Yeah.
The character just keeps getting hurt, and she does all that, pulls him all the way over to the trap door, and then he gets pulled in and apparently shredded because again, gallons of blood shoot out, which kind of starts red and then kind of turns pink, and like they're using every color of blood in this. They did that for the ratings board. They didn't want to get an X, but they still got an X, which is kind of weird that they did. I'm not gonna lie. And so yeah, on and on it goes. Ash is possessed, and then he isn't, and then he's possessed, and then like she doesn't believe him, and so then every time he's like, "I'm okay," and then he steps away, and then she like comes at him with the axe again. He's like, "Dang it, I'm all right." And she's like, "Well, for how long?" And then she's all mad. Like
Yeah.
her character's pretty hilarious too. Like just her whole attitude to the thing's great.
Well, and it's
And
like again, what do you expect? You like show up and this guy, your parents are dead,
uh-huh.
question mark, and there's this guy who's clearly out of his mind, but he's
Mm.
like, "Listen to me, I'm okay."
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's played for such good laughs because it's like, no, you're not.
Mhm.
So it's
And
just
so then
incredible.
finally they do the suit up Edgar Wright style. He gets a chainsaw arm. He goes in the basement. He's going to fight Henrietta. She comes out, starts spinning around, grabbing Annie's hair. Also, I don't know if you caught it, but so Ted Raimi, the director's little brother, is the one in the Henrietta outfit.
I knew he was in this movie,
Yeah,
and I was like, that looks a lot like him. And
yeah,
I
it's
never looked
him.
into it because I was, which is
But
just, that's hilarious.
when he's spinning around, you might have noticed that like the butt on the suit is completely ripped open. You can see his underpants inside. There's like
I've never
six,
noticed that.
oh yeah,
No.
there's like 6 inches goes in and then it's his butt. And at one point when he turns to look at her, if you watch the bottom of frame, he was sweating so much in the suit because they filmed this in North Carolina in like 100-degree heat in a gymnasium with no air conditioning. And so he's in a polyfoam suit, which doesn't breathe at all. And they would have to put so much baby powder on him to try to slide him into the suit that when he would sweat, it would make like this white milky sweat. And so when he turns and looks at the camera, if you watch out of his left ear, there's literally a stream of white sweat just spilling out of
Oh,
his ear like a
wow.
squirt gun. So a lot of fun stuff like that. And then eventually we kill Henrietta, who has like this stop motion monkey head at one point. Things just keep happening. And then like he shoots it, and then the trees start attacking. And then that's kind of when the
That's
movie
a
kicks
part of the
into high
movie I was
gear.
pretty sure I hadn't seen.
Right.
And then there's a weird demon face
Yeah, the rotten apple
in the
head.
door,
Yeah.
which that's pretty cool.
Mhm. And his hair turns white, and then Annie gets killed by his hand, kind of like Thing from the Addams Family. And then she recites what I think is so funny is she manages to recite only half of the spell that's supposed to send the evil back. So it opens a rift in time, but she doesn't stay alive long enough to close it, even though most of the spell just seems to be saying Kanda over and over and over again. Nosferatus Kanda. And then Ash gets sucked into the past along with his car to the Middle Ages to fight Deadites and screams no as all the knights cheer him on.
That's great. And the movie ends.
Yep. And then bum 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 the score. So that's for the viewers. We don't normally recap things this heavily, but this movie really has very little plot. It's mostly just lightly strung together crazy moments.
Yeah. And I think we would have ended up essentially doing this just in less sequential order if we were
Right.
to try to, I don't know, talk about other things with the movie, like approach it somehow like topically, like
Mhm.
I don't know what else we would have done. So, yeah, I mean with both these movies we kind of did chronological because there isn't a lot
Yeah, there's
to
not
do,
that
but I mean,
much. Yeah.
but this movie, yeah, this movie is it's very funny and it's so gory but in such a unique way.
hmm
Is it's cartoony. It is
Yeah.
itchy and scratchy, which again, is reading back and whatever. I know, yeah, for those who would be like, it wouldn't actually, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm answering an imaginary objection that doesn't exist. Um, but is very much just like cartoony blood and guts. And it's great. And that just assumes these demonic things are attacking this cabin in the woods, and it's just fantastic. It is just, it's something.
So,
I
final
want to
thoughts.
Well, we don't have to necessarily wrap up. What's like, I want to hear more of what you love about this movie
Oh,
because you
okay.
love this movie a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's unfair to like have this episode of the show and have you not go on and on. I mean, it's clear your love for this movie, but down to the way you originally saw it. But I want to hear more of what you think, not from a perspective of, because I think we sometimes have this on the show of what do you even like about this movie? That's
Mhm.
not what I just want to hear. Tell me more. Tell me more
Yeah.
of how do you think, like, what do you connect with so much and what do you think works so well? And where, because I mean, we'll probably get ahead of ourselves, but here a bit. But if this movie has your heart, how so type of ways?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm gonna answer that ahead of time and just say, obviously, it has my heart. Of course, I'll save my rating for the end, but it's going to be high. What's so great about this to me is number one, like you said, it's fun. It's just really fun. And fun is a thing that I connect to in any movie. We talk about this all the time. Colin and I talk about this all the time. It's like I just miss fun movies and I enjoy fun movies. And it's a ride. And very few movies, like if you had to apply the assessment of it's a ride to any movie, Evil Dead 2 would be definitely one of the ones. And I think Malignant also would be kind of in a similar category of it's a ride. Which compared to Evil Dead, like they both move at a pretty breakneck pace. Evil Dead's a little more uneven because it does have some moments where we just kind of like pan around the room to build suspense. But in general, like it's a pretty breakneck paced movie. And so, the fun is there. The I don't know what's going to happen next is a big one because, like I said, the first five
Oh, you
minutes,
don't. You have no clue. Yeah.
I mean, in the first 5 minutes, you kill the only other character that's in the movie up to that point. So you go, well, now what are we going to do? We've got 85 minutes left. What can you do? Well, apparently a lot. And it's one of those movies, and it's one of the things that I like about the 80s in general, but it's definitely a thing I love about Evil Dead 2 is it's what I call a kitchen sink movie. They do everything. Every magic trick, every matte shot, every prosthetic, every effect, every animation style, they do it all. They throw everything at you and it's all kind of just under the excuse of, well, it's demons. So they can kind of do anything. Sometimes it looks like it's psychological horror, sometimes it's ghosts, sometimes it's possession, sometimes it's monsters. It's whatever you want. And so you don't get bored with it because it's always kind of a different thing. And then it also just has a really great kind of Halloween gothic atmosphere. There's fog and not realistic fog, but like haunted house fog machine fog, like spook show fog constantly. The sound design is interesting and really cool and adds to the atmosphere because it's this constant like howling wind ooh, through like trees and through windows. And so, the cabin's got a great design. The woods has a cool design. They have a lot of fake trees in the foreground, which clearly look fake, but kind of like you said, adds this almost proto Tim Burton feel, but not quite so concerned with the stylization. I think it just came about more because they didn't have the budget. But there's such a charm to it. There's so much atmosphere for it in it. And the characters are delightfully one-dimensional. I mean, Ash is all we really know about Ash is he's kind of dumb and he just yells a lot. He doesn't really even have that many lines. And Bobby Joe's just the hot chick, and the other girl's just mad all the time. And Evil Ed's nothing at all. He's just there. And then the hillbilly's just the hillbilly, and like that's it. And like Linda had no personality, like you said, she kind of does ballet. Like
Yeah.
that's it.
We
And
can
there's just
gather she, yeah, is a dancer, I
kinda,
guess.
yeah. It's amazing.
Delightfully one-dimensional is a really fun way to put it
Yeah.
because it is like, again, a movie that knows what it is and just sticks with it
Hmm.
in a totally different way than Nightmare, but it is just a wild, like everything you've said, I can just completely agree with because it's a
Hmm.
wild ride.
And it's really well shot too, strangely. Like every time I rewatch it, I'm always surprised by, despite the budget, how well lit it is, how creative they are with the camera angles. And interestingly, when I rewatched Evil Dead 1 last week, I'm always like it's weird because the two movies are very similar. I don't remember Evil Dead 1 all that well. I can't keep the order in which events happen straight in my head, and I've seen it like three times, maybe even four. I'm not 100% sure. Like that's how little I can keep it in my head. Because Evil Dead 2 kind of takes precedence. So that's partly why I can't keep the first one straight in my head, because it is to me kind of the inferior work of the two in terms of entertainment value. But also, Evil Dead 1 is really well shot, considering they made it for like 80 grand, I think, or 85, and they were using like work lights and junk. Like it's very hard, sourcey light, but it's still designed and there's intention behind it. But that's, I think, in a nutshell, what I really love about the movie is it's a kitchen sink movie. It's a lot of fun. You don't know what's happening next. It doesn't really waste any time, and it's heavy on atmosphere. I can always get behind a movie with atmosphere, even if the movie itself doesn't do much. I can usually give it points for atmosphere, and Evil Dead 2 just pulls out all the stops. It gives you what you want. It doesn't waste time with romance or character development or like any of that stuff. It just gives you, hey, look at this. Okay, now you saw that. Hey, look at that. And
Yeah.
it's a great Halloween movie, is what it is. It's really great.
Well, and it's, I think part of what we're talking about too with both these films, again, in different ways, is like, don't try to be anything more than you are.
Right.
Don't get full of yourself movie.
Hmm.
And that way you can lead into the fun. Like you're
Right.
not conflicted about what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, don't let the movie preach to you. It's like we got one thing to say. We're here to chew gum and shoot blood out of the walls, and we're all out of gum. It's like, we're gonna do what we
Yeah.
want. And I think also you can, I mean, I don't know how much like behind the scenes stuff you've looked up about Evil Dead 2 in particular. There's a wealth of information out there. I have the set, like the collector's edition with like the it's literally looks like the Necronomicon. I don't know if I ever showed it to you,
Oh,
but
it's
like
fun.
it's a rubber Necronomicon with like the book and the pages and the DVDs in there. And it used to be, although I think the battery ran out now because it's just a button cell and you can't replace it. But when you press the eyeball, it would go like that, which is cool. But they have like a really long, like extended making of, which is like over an hour. And they
Oh,
go
wow.
through every department. And they have a fantastic commentary, by the way, which for any of the viewers, if you've seen Evil Dead 2 and you're like, I've seen it 100 times, if you've never listened to the commentary, you're missing out because the commentary effectively turns into Mystery Science Theater. And it's Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, and I believe the producer and maybe one other person. And they just basically relentlessly make fun of the movie and then talk about like all the random things that happened behind the scenes. Oh yeah, remember that day you were doing this? Oh, this is when he said scream like a woman. Oh, do this, do that. It's like, and beat Bruce with the dummy. Okay, now hit Bruce over here. It's like, and also what's funny about that is to add an aside to like five other asides. Sam Raimi's voice is very similar to John Lovett's. So much so that it's really funny to me because through the whole interview, through the whole like commentary track, it just sounds like John Lovitz is telling you about the movie. And it's hilarious. And they're constantly riffing and cracking jokes, but they tell you a lot of really interesting stuff about the making of and um, what I think is so cool, back to my original point that I was laboring to make, which is another reason why I really like this movie, is you can tell that people were having fun making it, and there was a lot of not just passion behind it, but there was genuinely like it was a good time. And when you watch like any of the behind the scenes stuff where you talk to like Greg Nicotero and Robert Kurtzman and Howard Berger, which by the way, those three are the ones that started KNBFX Group, and this was the movie that ultimately started them because they were
Mhm.
working under I think it was Showstrom, under his effects studio on Evil Dead 2, and then they went off to do another thing. And by I think 1990 or so, they pretty much my timeline's probably slightly off. They knew that they had worked well together because they worked on Evil Dead 2, and they're like, we should just make a company. And then that's why we have KNBFX Group and they, did all the stuff with The Walking Dead and all this other stuff. So like there's so much Hollywood history too behind the movie.
Hmm.
And that kind of is palpable when you watch the movie. You can see that they're having fun. They tell you how they did stuff. Behind the scenes is wild because Greg Nicotero had a video camera that he just bought, and so he filmed everything. I mean, there's
Oh,
the
wow.
the behind the scenes is like an hour and a half, but there's actually somewhere, I don't know if it's online or if it's just if maybe Nicotero only has it in his own collection, but I remember him and Robert Rodriguez talking about how Nicotero had him over at his house before and he would show him the tapes. And there are tapes, multiple, plural tapes of just hours and hours and hours of just uncut, like them messing around on set and doing makeup tests and other stuff. And like there's so much that stayed on the cutting room floor of Evil Dead 2. Like when Evil Ed shows up, they cut him apart. There's a whole other sequence there where after they chop them apart, the parts are on the floor and they're still alive, and then they have to do something else to get the parts to stop moving. And
Oh,
there's
wow.
there's a whole part with they actually use the actress who played living Henrietta. There's a whole part with her, like some backstory that they filmed and didn't use. There's just basically the vibe seemed to be, and they kind of said this in the behind the scenes. It was, they had a script. But then Sam every day would write new things and he'd come up with new gags and he'd be like, hey, let's try this. And I think Sam was just like, let's just film as much as we can and I'll figure it out later. That's kind of what
Yeah.
they were doing. And there's just so many cool things about it and so many weird mistakes that got left in the movie. When Linda's head gets chopped off and it rolls into frame, you can see like the guy's hand throw it from behind the coal pile. Um, there's just a lot. It's so deep and there's so much you can look into. But those are many of the reasons why I enjoy the movie. Um,
Yeah. The fun levels are off the charts
they really
for
are.
sure throughout. And as you continue to dive into the movie, I haven't done a whole lot of that yet, but I definitely want to. That's definitely there in the future, just because I haven't had the time.
Yeah.
But
Well, I definitely, and I say this to you as much as I say it to the viewers. If ever in like a year from now you're bored and you're like, I don't know if I really want to watch Evil Dead 2 again, watch the commentary. If you can find the commentary, you get the DVD, something, watch the commentary because now it's a whole new movie. It's Evil
hmm
Dead Mystery Science Theater with some fun facts. And it's like, well, now there's a whole other thing happening. because they even mentioned like toward the beginning, so they cast Denise Bixler as Linda, and they're like, okay, well, what are we going to do? Costume department, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And so like they had two different wardrobe options for her. They had like a sweatshirt, and then they had like the pasted on, like fairly tight shirt that she wears. And of course, Stafford's like, put the pasted on one. Like they wanted the skimpy one because of course. And so it's just they're making fun of each other about it. And like her hair changes between shots, like I don't know if you noticed it, but like she's
I don't
dancing and then
I
Ash
didn't
comes up and gives her like the necklace. Between when you see a close up of the necklace, see her, and then see a wide of them, which is all happens in like 5 seconds, she has like three hairstyles. Her hair, like it's like a normal 80s hairstyle, and then it's kind of like frizzed up, and then the next shot, it looks like it was cut and blunted at the bottom, and it like sticks out like a triangle. It's like everything's off, the continuity doesn't stay. It's amazing
yeah,
to to
that's
to
really great.
to put it simply, it's amazing.
That is awesome. Do we want to get to the rating of the movie? Is there
Sure.
anything
Yeah, I'm
else?
really interested to hear your rating and your take.
See,
So I guess now it would be final thoughts.
yeah, final
Rating.
thoughts wrapping this up. I I think this would be like, see, we haven't really had a movie since, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't really had a movie since all the way back with Napoleon Dynamite, which is still
Hmm.
in the archives, that's been this funny.
Hmm.
So I don't know where we grade funny, but I'm gonna boost this up I'm gonna the funny points are
Yeah.
strong.
I think
When
you
I
graded on entertainment value.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we're grade oh my gosh, my HomePod just went off. It scared me to death.
I heard it. Everything else that ever happens on here
Hi
like gets
guys.
noise
Yeah,
filtered out, and that did not get filtered out.
that
That
was
was
a
weird.
talking voice. Anyways, it's a ghost. For entertainment value, now
Hmm.
I want to know what I said that triggered it. Uh, I would probably rate this at like a 7. It's a especially because I give like 6.5 an entertainment value. If we're throwing that in more, it might be like a 7.5. Because
Yeah.
if recent my grading system's always all over the place, and I
Uh-huh.
looked it up. I looked through some older entries to get a bearing for Nightmare on Elm Street more so
Right.
than this, because I wanted to boost Nightmare on Elm Street up above other things we had done. And I think this is more entertaining than that.
Yeah,
But it's like they're so different movies. So to
for
like talk
sure.
about them with an inconsistent grading system in the same episode.
I forget, how much did you give Malignant? Because I think on Malignant we had to give it two different ratings. I think
Well, yeah,
Malignant we gave it like an entertainment value, and then we gave it like is it a good movie
I can look it
score.
up really quick if tell me what you rate the movie.
Well, so Evil Dead for me, Evil Dead 2, I want to say, you know, I don't remember if I think I gave it like an 8 or a 9 on IMDb. I cannot remember what I gave it. And I rated it very highly because one, the entertainment value is of course off the charts. And then two, it's a classic. Like it's not a new movie, and it's something that has influenced horror. It's influenced, so yeah, it's something that's influenced the horror genre. It's something that's influenced movies in general. It was the launching pad for the career of a lot of important people in Hollywood. Um, and I'm including Bruce Campbell, even though he's always kind of been a B-movie actor, but he's kind of his own thing. It gave us Sam Raimi, who gave us the original superhero trilogy in Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man. So like that's a big deal. And it influenced the culture in a way that, I think is noteworthy. So I think for all those reasons, I want to say I gave it like a 9. I can't be 100%. I can look it up really quickly and see what I gave it, but I'm pretty sure that I gave it a 9. It might have been because IMDb doesn't allow you to rate things by halves. It'll do a weighted average of like everyone's rating. Um,
I
but
gave
yeah.
Malignant a 5 or a 6 in objectivity, and I think subjectively, I just saw it. I gave it an 8 or 9. So like enjoyment points, I think this is I still would probably give it like 7.5, 7. Because I
Okay.
think I don't know, but it's right up there. It's up there. It's similar. Malignant's different. Malignant's a different thing. That's the thing is
Yeah.
these are also different.
Oh,
So,
I gave Evil Dead 2 a 10. I'm
wow.
looking at it, so that's a 10. Yeah. But you see, also, that is not a purely objective rating either. My IMDb rating of Evil Dead 2 being a 10, that is that's all the things I just talked about, plus just my own personal happiness,
I
my
think,
own love
see,
of the film.
I would subjectively or grade it
Hmm.
objectively like a seven
Yeah,
because technically it's so impressive,
right.
special effects wise, and it's funny, technical
Hmm.
funny points.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I give it like a seven.
Hmm.
S- But I enjoyed it a lot. I
Yeah.
really did. So when it comes to my heart, I'm gonna have to reserve that for other films,
Right.
but it's great. I bought it on Apple TV because it was $1 more to buy it than to rent it. So I'll
Oh,
probably watch it again.
there you go.
But and yeah, I hope it enters the like Halloween season circulation for me. That's a takeaway. So maybe in time it'll have
Hmm.
my heart. It's really funny. It's really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
But because we grade that heart rating pretty
Hmm.
hard, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, for me, obviously, it has my heart. But I think, again, part of why I guess that's the thing. If I was going to be objective, I'd give it like a 7.5, maybe for the technical level, I give it like a 7. If it was for entertainment value, I give it like an 8. But it gets a 10 for me because of like how much it means to me, how much I love it, the
yeah,
memory that comes with it. So, I'm attached at the hip to the memory of this thing, even more so than like my current enjoyment of it. Like the memory influences your later enjoyment of it. So that's definitely for me where it's at. But I'm ecstatic that you enjoyed both of these movies. I wasn't quite sure how this double feature experiment was going to work,
yeah,
but
me either. But it went well.
yeah. That's hilarious and really, I think a great way to end the Halloween season for the show anyway, because I mean, this is October. When's this coming out?
This will come
Tomorrow?
out tomorrow, the
So
29th.
today. So today on the 29th,
Yeah,
Wednesday the 29th. There's only what? One, two more days to the end of the month. So,
yeah.
this is about as Halloween as you can get in my book. So, and I think it was a good thing that you watched Nightmare on Elm Street before you watched Evil Dead 2 because I think it primed you to be like, oh, here we are. We're in
I
this
think so
baby.
too. I think so too. I think I did right. If you like the show and you've stuck around this long, share it with a friend, like, comment, subscribe, even comment that we're garbage if you feel like
That's a
joining the trend.
possibility. Yeah.
Dislike the episode if you want. I don't really
Any
care.
any attention is good
Yeah,
attention.
believe it or not, any engagement you give it, I don't think YouTube tends to really care.
No.
So
If
any
anything, the algorithm favors negativity from what I've seen.
yeah,
Ratio
be
us
it
into
as
the ground.
positive or negative as you want. Next week, I don't know we'll have to talk about what we're
Mhm.
doing moving forward
Off
off
the
the
air.
air, but it'll be something. We will be here next week, most
Mhm.
likely.
Yes.
Uh, Thank you for listening and stay spooky.